folks, Joe Howard here. Right before we get started with today's episode, I haven't done this in a while. I actually haven't read out new reviews that we've gotten for the WPMRR podcast. So I have iTunes open right now, and we got this great review from Entrepreneur1120. I'm always learning something new from WPMRR, and I appreciate the diverse topics and voices Joe has on the show. The podcast isn't just about WordPress. Whether you're an entrepreneur, digital marketer, or developer, you'll come away with some cool insights after each episode. I just wanted to give that little review a shout out. I actually haven't come on to iTunes to look at reviews in a while, and I actually see a good number of new reviews from the show, so I'll read out a few more in future episodes, but I really took this review to heart. We try to get people from diverse backgrounds and about diverse topics on the show, all kind of, related, whether primarily or secondarily or tertiary into subscription revenue, but these topics can become so intertwined. I think what's really important is just to hear from a lot of different kinds of people doing a lot of different kinds of things, and gives you these little nuggets to be able to unravel yourself and to hopefully help you grow a better subscription business. So if you want to join Entrepreneur1120 in leaving us an iTunes review or a review in whatever app you're listening to, I would personally really appreciate it. You can go to WPMRR.com/review if you are on an Apple or a Mac to leave us a review on iTunes. But if you're in Google Podcasts, if you're in Stitcher, if you're whatever, Spotify, whatever app you're using, it would be great to be able to get more reviews. It helps the show get found. If you leave a star rating and a comment, it also helps me to know what kind of content I should be doing more. So when I get this kind of review talking about really enjoying the diverse topics and diverse voices on the show, I'm going to do more to get even more of a diverse range of voices and opinions and people who may agree on things or may disagree on things. Or, there's a lot of conversations to be had. So thanks to this review, I'm going to do that, and your review can help steer the show as well. Cool. Thank you for that. Let's get into today's episode. So today I got the chance to chat with Hristo Pandjarov. Now, if you've been in the WordPress space for a while, you know Hristo from SiteGround. Really friendly guy. Every time I've seen him in the past in a WordCamp, he's like the easiest guy to talk to. We always have good conversations, and I haven't seen him in 2 years now, maybe a little bit longer, which we talked a little bit about in today's episode because of the pandemic. But he's had quite the journey at SiteGround. He's been there for over a decade, maybe over 15 years, if I'm remembering from the episode correctly. He's had quite the journey there and really leads the WordPress team at SiteGround. So it was cool to hear how SiteGround is dedicating themselves to WordPress, what they're doing in terms of being and doing things differently than other hosting companies. That was a big piece of what I took from today is, a lot of acquisitions happening in the space. That's how a lot of companies are growing, including WP Buffs. We've done an acquisition earlier this year. But Hristo is pretty adamant about how they want to build things out internally because they think that's the best way to build things that are going to add the most value to their customer base and help them be the best company they can be. So doing things differently can, in some cases, really help you to stand out from the competition. Being a contrarian works sometimes, apparently. So I'll let Hristo talk about it in today's episode because he talks about it better than I can. So cool. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Hristo Pandjarov. Enjoy today's episode.
Okay, cool. We are live on this week's episode of the podcast. I'm lucky enough to get to chat with Hristo Pandjarov. Hopefully I got that name right. So Hristo, we've known each other for a little while in the WordPress space. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. It's been a little while, but tell folks a little bit about you and what you do with WordPress.
Yeah, good to see you. Unfortunately, not in person, but we're living in times where
hopefully soon.
Yeah, we organizers of WordCamps received an email that WordCamps are coming back to in person. So,
okay. A little insider information here. I didn't know that. So I want to know what you do with WordPress, but I also want to hear about live WordCamp. So I know at one point it was like the rest through 2021, no more in-person WordCamps is what I heard.
Yeah, through that.
In last year and through the beginning of this year. Are we still looking at the beginning of 2022?
Yeah.
Sometime in 2022?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And still, there's gonna be some restrictions and so on, but slowly things are. Hopefully, we'll be
As
getting back
expected.
to normal, and we'll get to meet around the world again.
Per usual, most good things take time, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Tell folks about you a little bit. Yeah, what you do with WordPress?
Yeah, my job title you asked in our
Yeah.
pre-con, it's WordPress Initiative Managers. We at SiteGround we don't believe very much in titles, like that, but it's kind of difficult to have a job title that covers whatever I do. It basically I lead our WordPress product and everything we do about our WordPress clients, and it touches a bit on going to events with marketing. Leading the product, so we have our security performance plugins and everything we do in terms of WordPress. So
Okay.
including our internal systems, we have a number of systems that run on WordPress too, and I lead my team of four WordPress developers. I touch up a bit on CEO and basically everything that is somehow related with WordPress goes through me one way or another.
Yeah. So I'd never heard of the title WordPress Initiatives Manager before, and I'm trying to like kind of parallel it with a position I have in my head. It sounds like you do a lot of stuff like around WordPress specifically for SiteGround, so it's hard to like exactly define. Like a title is kind of, it doesn't exactly, may not exactly match exactly what you do, but it kind of sounds like a combination of like a product manager and product lead, and also like community liaison, community
Yeah.
person, and kind of all put into one, and then asks you, what do you think the title should be? And I think initiatives sound good. Does that sound like it's kind of defines it? Or
Yeah, that's pretty much that was the main idea behind it, and yeah, indeed, I touch up on all sort of different things, including the ones you mentioned. Yeah, so it's
and you've been in SiteGround for a long time. I mean, I don't know how different people define long time as different, but I think last time we saw each other was WordCamp Europe 2019, maybe. I'm trying to remember if that's the last time, but I think we caught up there at the SiteGround. Has a big booth there every year, so we hung out there a little bit and caught up. And was your position? Did you have the same title then, or were you like more community person then? Because I kind of know you as a WordPress community person, but maybe it's just because I like know you as just like because I see you around all the time and online and in WordCamps. But was like, did you have a different position back then? You've kind of transitioned
yeah, I
a little
think
bit?
I had it for quite for a few years now, and the person responsible for that job title was Francesca Marano. She's now with Yoast. I think
Yeah.
you know her too. She's pretty well known in the community, and she was like, "Listen, you have to think of another job title because I don't even remember when I was there." I was like, okay, you know how much I don't care about it. So she came up with that, and everyone was okay, we'll do whatever you want. So I switched it over, and it kind of stick with it for the last 3 years or something. So yeah, probably.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm a long time with SiteGround. I started working as a regular support team member. And
When was that?
That was in 2007.
Wow. Okay, so I was right when I said a long time, because this is more than 10 years is.
14
SiteGround's a
years.
big company now, but yeah, 14 years is a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So started as a support person. Well, now I have to dive into that a little bit, because that's like a whole journey into like being the WordPress Initiatives Manager. So started as support. Have you done like a few different jobs at SiteGround as the company's grown, or have you was it right from support into community, or?
I joined the support team, and then one thing went to another. We have a pretty awesome evaluation and growth path for new people coming to our team, and it was very I was super enthusiastic to become better and better in what I was doing. I was before SiteGround, I don't even remember. I was working as a Borland Delphi developer for for business software. I imagine that. And meanwhile, I was assembling computer configuration to sell hardware. And so I have zero idea about what web hosting is, besides from my Linux experiments and so on. So I joined that. It was a very awesome learning curve. Became supervisor at some point of the support team. Joined the so-called escalations team we have, which handle the most difficult issues with that. And then one thing went to another. I took over the company's SEO and slowly migrated towards the marketing team.
So like the SEO
pro-
for SiteGround.com to drive
Yeah,
traffic and leads
only
and
for
stuff.
SiteGround.com, not for any other
see.
customers or something like that.
Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
still doing that with a couple of people that help me with it now. I'm not the one person for that. But yeah, that one thing again led to another. So we started going to WordCamps more and more, and generally back then we were the official Joomla web hosting provider too. So we went to a couple of Joomla days, and that's how things started. And started going to more WordCamps, started developing WordPress teams for our clients. We came up with our super cacher, which was the first thing that was specifically built for WordPress. A caching system that purges itself depending on your content updates and so on. So that started, as a cache busting plugin basically, and which is now what I believe the best performance optimization plugin for WordPress. So that was my main focus, and still is one of the biggest projects I run. And yeah, met so many great people, started talking at WordCamps mostly about performance and security. So those are my favorite topics in general.
That's cool. I I like hearing about people who started one place and then ended up someplace completely different especially in a big company, because I think a lot of people think about bigger companies and they think about, I'm going to get lost a little bit in the, I'm going to be a cog in the wheel, and, how organized is a big company really around like the paths for people to go through as a team member. And it sounds like SiteGround's really been done that really positively for you to be able to move across different teams and try different things and kind of evolve as you've grown and you've evolved yourself into like starting with support and then wanting to go, I want to get in a little bit more into SEO and marketing. Well, why don't you try that team? And then eventually like leading WordPress initiative, like that's a huge evolution for you over 14 years. So like, and the thing that kind of stuck with me about what you just said, there's a lot in there, but at the beginning when you started as a support person, you were saying like, you were really enthusiastic. You really wanted to learn all this new technology and all these new things. And I think that's a quality that I think a lot of people think that's important, but it's to like move through the company like you did, and in some senses up in the ranks into like managing a team of developers and managing WordPress initiatives. Like you have to be pretty hungry for knowledge. Like you always have to kind of be like knowing what's going on in the space, being able to learn new things, understand how hosting impacts all the different other areas of WordPress. Like there's a lot to learn and it never stops. And so I think that enthusiasm, and I can still sense it in you, right? It's like you still have that enthusiasm and that wanting to learn. And like that's, I think, is like something that people, if you're thinking, people are listening, like I want to move up through a company, like that enthusiasm's probably got to be there, or like it's, it's going to be a challenge for someone to see you and be like, oh, wow, they really want to do more. Okay, why didn't I let them do more? So that's what really stuck out to me.
Yeah, you gotta be passionate about what you're doing. I mean, SiteGround has a great company culture, and probably it was easier than in other big companies. I mean, we are big, but not as big as Google and Amazon, for example. We're like around 700 people at the moment, which is a large company, but not by far the biggest one out there. But I think that if you're passionate about something, if you really want to learn about it, if you want to become better at what you do, one can progress in any company, even if it's somewhere it might be slower, more difficult than others. But you just gotta figure out what makes you happy, what's interesting for you, and not to go every day at work just to get your salary at the end of the week or month or whatever. So yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be able to switch from doing one thing to another, because to be honest, after 2-3 years, the first years I was part of the support team member, I was very fortunate to start doing something else, to do the SEO, to a bit of development for WordPress, for template design, stuff like that, because otherwise I don't think I would have been so happy and could have kept doing the same thing over and over again. So you gotta challenge yourself. You gotta do some progress. Otherwise, if you just stick in one place, there are people who are happy like that, but that's definitely not me. I'm always looking for the next thing to do. And that being said, like half of my team right now is made from people who have been previously working on support team and they're now working development. So that's something I'm very happy about SiteGround as a company and company culture. Like a lot of the DevOps team members have been previously admins. A lot of the admins have been previously support team members. So there's always this internal possibilities of growth, and there is not only one path for someone. Like if you want to go into development, you can, up to a different team, or if you're more into admin stuff, you can just try yourself in a different position.
Yeah. Kyle Moore on Sandhill's development team just gave a talk at the WPMRR Virtual Summit about, I forget what the exact title was, but it's like how to develop employee or team member pathway through the company and how to create systems around that. And it was a great talk, and something a lot of people before the summit were like, I need more help around hiring and around like making sure my team members are happy and impactful and passionate about their work. And so that was a big piece of our summit too. So cool. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the WordPress initiatives that are going on over at SiteGround. Obviously, you're kind of leading initiatives over there. And I'm not sure if you no longer do like, or Drupal stuff or outside of WordPress stuff. I think you do some, and also WordPress is now like a big piece of what you do at SiteGround in terms of, the websites you host. But what's on the horizon for WordPress professionals? What folks listening to this should be like looking out for in terms of like, what does the future of hosting look like when it comes to WordPress specific site? You mentioned that cache thing that I think is interesting, but I'm sure there are other things as well. I'd love to hear some of the stuff going on at SiteGround.
Yeah, you can still host other applications with us, like Drupal, Joomla, whatever your custom stuff. We have some pretty big enterprise clients who have completely custom code base, like Yoast, for example. Their client area and everything is like custom. It's not a static WordPress or something else. So WordPress is dominating the entire web at the moment. So it's by far the most popular application.
43% last time, 42.6.
Yeah, it's always growing.
Almost 43.
Yeah, it grows so fast. It's difficult to keep up with that number. But so it's the app we're mostly focused on, and we try to build tools, services that make it easier for people to start something, to have a successful website and to maintain it. Because at the end of the day, us hosting companies, SiteGround in particular, what makes us more, both financially and emotionally happy is to have a client that remains with us for a long time, that has a successful website and keeps hosting it with us. And so there are things that become more important with time. Performance being a very hot topic at the moment. I remember I was probably one of the first people started talking about performance and speed optimization at WordCamps, and back in 2013, 2012, those years, I still look back at some photos. It's fun how packed rooms are, Cause
oh man, going back through old WordCamp talks, I still can find my first WordCamp talk, and it's like kind of painful to watch. It's like, man, that was not great, but it got better.
You need to love yourself more, Just,
That's true.
I
love
keep
my past
liking
self.
mine
Good job.
anyway. I don't have the nerve to listen to an entire thing, but just few screenshots. Damn, you look good, young boy. My hair was much darker back then,
They
so
had more too, I think.
that's we got to look at the positive side of things, And yeah, but and nowadays, each WordCamp has 2-3 talks about performance, which is great because Google pushed that a lot, and that's one great example of, for example, with SiteGround, we have developed our SiteGround Optimizer plugin, which takes care of everything: the caching, the front end optimizations, even things like database maintenance, image optimizations, WebP, new web formats, stuff like that. It's a very, very big plugin right now, and it has pretty much everything you need to have a blazing fast website. Another new thing we launched this year was our security plugin. We're heavily developing the SiteGround security plugin, which tries to cover everything you need to have on your application in terms of security strengthening. It adds things like two-factor authentication, custom login URLs. What we've been trying to do is make very difficult things, technically difficult things, easy for our clients, and to make technology that's generally, for bigger websites, for enterprise stuff, available to people on shared hosting, people who don't have teams of developers behind their backs. So those are, examples of the things we do, and they have been a great focus for us.
It's interesting to see SiteGround building some of these plugins internally to pair with WordPress specific hosting, and saying, as part of doing that, saying, I think that, or we think that WordPress hosting requires this kind of plugin paired solution along with hosting in order to give folks using our WordPress hosting the best possible experience. I want to dive a little bit further into that because there is a different path one could take. And I kind of see companies do, there's kind of like two paths people could go. There's like the hosting company that says, we would like to pair, a host or a plugin, like a security plugin. But instead of developing that internally, they go and find one that's already in the market, that's been a different company, it's been developed by someone else, and acquire that plugin. And then maybe over the next 6 months, year, 2 years, they kind of fold that into their offerings. Or maybe it's just as easy as just pairing it with hosting. You get hosting, you get the plugin with the hosting. Maybe it actually, probably at some point, eventually actually folds into the hosting company as a core piece of it. But the difference is that it was acquired and folded in, as opposed to the approach that SiteGround has gone with, which is, it sounds like you've developed the security plugin internally and the performance plugin internally. What was the reason that you decided to build it internally as opposed to maybe looking at the market and maybe acquiring a different plugin? Because SiteGround's a pretty successful company. I'd assume you have some funds to say if you wanted to maybe buy another company, it would be possible. But it sounds like you've gone the decision to go building it internally. I'd love to hear a little bit about maybe why you think that was the decision that SiteGround went with.
Well, we have this crafted by ourselves, vision for the main parts of the hosting platform that we have, which doesn't end just with the plugins or those things. It's how we approach basically our entire hosting product. Even back then we were on cPanel. It was so greatly modified, and one of the reasons to build our own hosting management tool was that it was so modified that at some point it became more of a burden to use an already existing hosting management software than to actually benefit out of it. So we spent years in building what is now SiteTools, and then we spent a couple of years migrating and improving and so on, to get away from cPanel and migrate everyone to SiteTools. So this is a fundamental belief that we can do awesome things, and we can do them better than than the people out there. Why wouldn't I acquire a performance or security plugin? Is because I really want to know that I can rely on the quality of that code. And to be honest, there aren't that many good developers out there producing code that can meet our standards of in SiteGround. Because when you launch something and put it in front of 2-3 million people, you have the responsibility to have it working secure, have it properly done. And first, I don't think that makes sense to buy something and then have to rework big part of it. And then there simply isn't for our needs, for the way we believe things should be done. There aren't any products that cover everything. I don't know. It's a bit more hassle to acquire a team and have to put people within our workflows than to start building something ourselves. And I don't think that anytime soon a time will come when we will run out of jobs. So expanding our internal development team makes a lot of sense for us. We're always looking to hire great talent, and so far we've been successful with that. And that's the reasoning, because we can do it better than anyone else. That's why we're doing it ourselves.
I get that. I think that there are a good number of folks doing performance plugins and doing security plugins, but the number of people doing it right now that could meet this current scale of SiteGround is probably few and far between. If you were to, if SiteGround was to acquire a company and put it in front of that many people, those products may not be at the scale right now. It may require either refactoring or rebuilding or a change in vision to just to meet the standards of being able to service as many clients as you put it out in front of. So in some senses, I think it makes a lot more sense about what you're saying in terms of if you have the quality in-house to build it, why not do it yourself and build the best possible product given your circumstances, SiteGround circumstances. When you acquire a plugin, it's kind of like they weren't building it for you. They weren't building it thinking I'm building this to exactly match all the tech aspects that SiteGround needs, right? That's something that has to be figured out if that's
actually what we're doing right now is exactly the opposite what everyone else has been doing, which historically has always been a good move for us. What we're doing right now is we're opening the plugins we have built for SiteGround for everyone else. Like the security plugin, you can use the SiteGround security plugin at the moment on whatever hosting company you want. If they don't block you with anything super particular, just because it's SiteGround's plugin, you can run it on your hosting, whatever, even if you're not hosted on SiteGround. So instead of acquiring something that has been built for everyone and making it available for SiteGround people exclusively, now we're doing actually the opposite. We're opening up our security plugin, and soon that's something that I haven't been told anyone. We're gonna make the SiteGround Optimizer plugin available for people outside SiteGround. So that's just how we believe things should be done. When you have something, you can make it available for more people and hope for the best that they use it for their website. So
yeah, I really like that mentality. It matches the open source mentality of why we all decided to get into WordPress in the first place. We liked the ability for software to be open and not closed. It kind of leads into this conversation, something I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, because you do have there's a community aspect to your position in terms of knowing what's going on, just like in the WordPress space and ecosystem. The last 18 months or so, there have been a ton of acquisitions and buying and selling of companies, and just last week, there were a couple big ones. LearnDash was acquired, as well as Sandhills Development. And I don't know why it was those two companies, because there have been other companies in the past 18 months that have sold too. But for some reason, last week, there was a lot of chatter around, hey, they're either hosting companies or big entities starting to acquire a lot of the bigger WordPress plugins, and is this really good for the community? In some sense, the question about is this good for the community stems from if big hosting companies can just kind of acquire plugins and then like create kind of this all-in-one solution so that they can kind of like continue to like take bigger pieces of the pie and not have to worry about, honestly, like not have to interact with the open source community because they can just acquire things and just do them, under their company umbrella. That's a little bit of a conversation that's starting, I think, to happen, and I'm sure been happening over the last 5 years or so. I just haven't quite tapped into it. But right now, I'm starting to really see that become more common. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. It's kind of a big topic and a big question, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about why SiteGround is deciding to build internally as opposed to go the opposite direction, and kind of what your thoughts are around hosting companies becoming so big that they can do everything as kind of more of an all-in-one solution and maybe not include some of the smaller companies out there in terms of, being part of the open source ecosystem.
A few things here. First, we generally believe to build ourselves things that we believe are the fundamentals of our product. That doesn't mean we're not interested in acquiring a company that would be a great fit for our clients in terms of company culture, in terms of their product. Now, if you think about it, it's been going on for years. It's like for the regular WordPress users, if you think about how and what website you were able to do, 5-6 years ago without spending a single dollar. Right now, you can't really build anything that's, professional, that does everything people need, because the demand of people browsing the web is higher. People don't need just 5 static pages and links between them. You get more functionality, and every bigger plugin has been a business for the past years, and it's been a growing business. Most of the rise of the freemium model, back 5, 6, 7 years, most of the plugins were free, and that's it, and with time, mostly turned into a trial version of the real thing that is paid. And it's normal when you have companies making money out of it, making money out of product, to become interest for acquisitions by bigger companies. And the thing is that a lot of people who started building WordPress products weren't actually business-minded people, so they made a lot of bad decisions. You have, even if we talk about when to sell, to whom to sell, and at some point, when you have a hosting company with a big financial back and interest in your business that started probably as a free WordPress plugin that somehow turned into a profitable endeavor, I guess it's very tempting to exit and sell your stuff. We've seen some very bad examples of how not to buy a plugin and ruin it, and some others which are doing better than before. I can't say really how bad it is for the community. It's definitely not the same community that was years ago in terms of the investments you have to make in order to have a website. But on the other hand, you have more opportunities to build with more tools, because when developers are human beings too, they want to make money, they want to eat and have fun, so they have to pay their dinner. And if you want to have a quality plugins, they have to make money out of it. So that's how things work. And yes, not everything is free now. Not a lot of plugins are owned by big companies, but then you have a lot more plugins with a lot more functionalities and things to do. It's a trade-off, because you can't grow a plugin to a fully functional solution without making a dime out of it. And
yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because I think for years we've been saying in the WordPress space, like we got to charge more, like we have to be more, have more premium solutions so that customers pay us more, so that our companies can make more money and be more profitable, and like we can be more comfortable, because I think there's this like open source software is free, so like your software should be cheap like mentality, and maybe that was more prevalent like 10 years ago, but I think that we've been wanting to do that for a long time, and now it seems like we've kind of shifted our thinking a little bit, as far as I've seen, and that has attracted more, I think, finance into the WordPress space. It's like you can't really have it both ways. I agree with you. I think this is kind of the natural evolution of any space.
You have to pay one way or another, right? You either pay with your time and your energy, and you go out there, you read the documentation, you pick up a team, pick up a number of plugins, develop something yourself, learn how to do it, or you pay by giving money to someone else to do it, and that's completely okay. It's actually WordPress has made it possible for a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have been able to join this community to make money, make a living out of making websites if it wasn't for WordPress, because 99% of the people who claim to be WordPress experts, even WordPress developers, are basically installing, activating, and configuring plugins and themes. And now, I don't want to talk about pricing and how much you should charge, but again, the notion, I think it's fading away that everything should be free. No, it should not be free. If somebody's working for you, you should pay them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. As a services company, you pay, you get services, you have it paid for. I think this is like a really big topic. We could go on, we could do a 3-hour episode on this topic, but my potential argument for the reason against why I think it's, this is not a good thing for the WordPress community, is that I think naturally with open source software, you're always going to have like the next companies coming. Like for every company that, like medium-sized company that's acquired, like there'll probably be like 5, 10, 50 smaller companies like coming up behind that company saying like, okay, they were successful. As long as like the WordPress market share continues to grow, there's going to be enough, websites out there that, just because, LearnDash was just acquired doesn't mean that another kind of course company can't come along and develop a plugin that maybe hits some of the pain points that a bigger company like LearnDash maybe just doesn't quite have the agility because they're a little bigger to hit. Like maybe a smaller company can actually do better, and maybe 5 smaller companies can do better. So I think there's always going to be more space out there for that. Okay, I want to start wrapping up, but the one thing I do want to definitely talk about is I was just checking out the SiteGround blog. People can obviously check out SiteGround. It's at siteground.com, although I think you have different domains depending on where you are in the world. But SiteGround, if you search SiteGround, you'll find it. Siteground.com is going to be the main site. But I'm on the blog right now, and I see the most recent post here from you is about a partnership that you have with West Ham United soccer team. So I'm a big Premier League fan. I'm an Everton fan. So I'm watching every weekend. And I think West Ham's actually become like my second team. I love the team. I love the style. I think they finished 6th last year in the Premier League, so 6th best team in England. And they are now playing in Europe this year. I think they're actually playing this afternoon for me. So I'm going to turn on the TV and watch them play a team. I don't know who they are, but they're playing in a big Europe, the second biggest European tournament in the world. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about, well, one, just because I saw that, and I was like, oh, I got to ask Hristo about that. But also just in terms of like partnership work that SiteGround does. I mean, the blog post, I'm reading it's like a partnership with, I guess SiteGround's the official hosting partner of West Ham. I'm not sure if you are part of that or if that's something that you have any insight into, but I'm sure, there are a lot of companies out there that want to do more like partnership work. And maybe they can't get West Ham, United as their partner of choice, but, SiteGround's a bigger company. You were obviously able to do it. I'd love to hear a little bit more insight into kind of like the whys and how that happened and all that.
Yeah, I was part of the initial talks. Now everything is handed over to Dima, she's our brand manager. I was on a vacation, but I was like, there's no way I'm gonna miss that talk with the West Ham people.
Nice.
It's really amazing for someone who has been working. I've done quite a lot of partnership work. Like I consider it my doing our partnership with Yoast, with Double P Beginner, with a lot of big companies. But with West Ham, I was stunned by the level of professionalism those people showed. It was very you know even our first meeting, they were so well prepared. The word professionalism was radiating from them in every possible aspect, from researching the people you're talking to, from figuring out how we do things, going through our materials. Man, I was stunned. And so they made a very huge impression on us, on how they do things, how well organized they are, how fast they are when it comes. So, and we kind of clicked, figured out it's gonna be nice to work together and partner up. And we're based in Bulgaria. Our main building is in Sofia. We have offices in two other Bulgarian cities and one in Spain, in Madrid. So, as Europeans, we're all crazy about football. So, it happened, and I think it's going very nice.
Yeah, very cool. I see on the blog post you have like a video that got posted and all sorts of stuff. So, do you know how like it kind of came about? Like, was there a first connection where it's like someone at SiteGround knew someone at West Ham, or were they like, did they put like I don't know, like a word out there, like we're looking for a hosting partner, and then you contacted them or something? I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know how these kind of big partnerships sometimes come to fruition, except that a lot of times I know there's just like a network connection, like someone knows someone somewhere else, and that can be leading to it. But I don't know if you know the details about how this one got started.
No, we didn't have any personal link to any of them. Actually, they approached us because they really wanted a hosting partner. So they have been going through. They did their research and they picked SiteGround because they really loved our messaging, our product. They went through a lot of reviews about our company and saw that people actually enjoy our product that we have. And SiteGround is a very big company. In UK, we have a lot of clients, and so I guess they researched us and figured out we're a good fit for them too.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I think that says a lot about SiteGround, and I think it even speaks more wholly to, sure, there's outreach you can do, there's networking you can do to like create these partnerships. There's some proactive things you can do, but in a lot of cases, the best thing you can do is as the company grows and as it gets bigger, to continue to have a great product, to continue to have great services, to continue to do good in the world and put good out there in the world and have a good reputation, right? Like people think about SiteGround, they think about, great support. They think about this podcast, they listen to Hristo on it. Wow, Hristo's awesome. They associate good things with SiteGround, and that will eventually come back to help you when people are looking up your company or doing their research across companies. They consider SiteGround across with other companies. Well, SiteGround has a lot of great things to offer. And so while focusing on, whatever traditional PR or outbound marketing or network can be important in some cases, it's also is a good lesson, I think, to not forget
what is the most important,
the core values.
What we believe is the most important is to have consistency of the quality and to keep doing this, to keep having good product with time. We've seen, there are new hosting companies that just pop up every now and then. It's easy for them to come up with the new stuff. They don't have to upgrade their existing clients just because they don't have existing clients. So you take what's the latest and greatest stack, you put it in production, you start making signups. But Then you get your clients. Then you have to support those clients, and then things, this is where things become difficult. And SiteGround has been doing this since 2004, and that's a long time. So being able to consistently provide with a quality product is what I believe is our greatest success, because it's not about having a very good hosting company for a year and then just break under the pressure of your clients.
Hristo, thanks so much for jumping on, man. It was nice to have you on the pod. It was really nice
Welcome.
just to catch up with you. It's good to see you. It's good to just have the chance to chat for a few minutes. So let's start wrapping up. And why don't you tell folks where they can find you online, where they can find SiteGround online, all that jazz, social media, whatever.
Well, basically, we're on every social media that you can think of. So we have official profiles there. I'm frequent at the WordPress speed-up groups in Facebook, SiteGround users group, and not so much on Twitter, honestly, these days, but mostly on the advanced WordPress groups and the bigger Facebook groups there. Yeah.
Nice, cool, man. And Hristo also told me he's cool to do an AMA in the WPMRR community. So he'll be in the WPMRR community as well. So if anybody listening is a member of that, you can find him there as well. And if you're not a member, why not? Go ahead and get signed up. Cool. Last but not least, Hristo, I always ask our guests of the show to ask our listeners for a little Apple Podcast review. So if you wouldn't mind asking folks to leave us a little review, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you should totally do that. Leave a review, reviews, and giving back to a content like that is very important for people who do it. It takes very little of your time, but it means a lot to people behind the scenes, because mostly people who are not happy tend to leave reviews. So be the difference and leave a good one. So we can have nice things.
There you go. That's true. I know it's either like people who really like it or like don't like it very much. So we don't have too many people, I don't think, who don't like it. I think our lowest star review is a 4-star review, and that's only because I asked someone like, hey, like a perfect 5-star review kind of looks a little fake. Could someone leave us a 4-star review so we could have like 4.9 instead of 5.0? And I can't remember who it was, but one of my friends was like, okay, 4 stars, pretty good, but not 5 stars yet. So yeah, Hristo, thanks so much for that ask. If people want to leave a review for the show, you can go to wpmrr.com/review. Redirects you right to the place in Apple Podcasts to leave a review if you're on a Apple device or a Mac. If you are a new listener to the show, feel free to check out some older episodes. We've got like 160 plus older episodes. Just go to wpmrr.com/podcast. And just use the search bar there. If you have any topics that are a current challenge, or you just want to binge some old episodes, feel free to go through some old ones and use the search bar to search for some keywords and listen to an episode that'll help you level up your business. If you get a little tired of listening to me every week and you want to be more active in growing your MRR, we have a whole community around responsibly growing our monthly recurring revenue and hitting MRR milestones together. So just check out community.wpmrr.com. We got a nice asynchronous community there built on Circle, so feel free to join us there. That is all for this week on the WPMRR WordPress podcast. We will be in your earbuds again next Tuesday. Hristo, thanks again for being on, man. It's been real.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
All right, bye, everybody.